My dear friends, I'm very excited to share with you the next stage of Transform Your Hands, a complete 10-week course of piano exercises, piano yoga book. And today we are going to talk about core piano yoga, stage 1 of this book. For those of you who already done preliminary stage, which I released last month, you will be familiar with the method. But first of all, if you are starting just on that stage, please, I wanted to share with you a couple of things because it's very important to know them before you do this exercise. And the second thing, which is also important for those of you who have been doing the preliminary stage, it's quite a useful reminder so you can have your checklist. Because remember, if you do piano yoga exercises with right technique, then they're very effective. If you do it with a generic technique, then I would suggest you do other exercises which are much more effective. So I'm going to take a little bit of time, and then in the next stages or in the next days lessons, you will be able to do exercise with me, and I will be commenting each particular exercise. So first of all, please forgive my state of the piano on my beloved Steinway. I've been working on it with my technician. We are still trying to find a sound. For the piano is a little bit open. It's not in a perfect tune, but for piano exercises, I hope you can forgive me because I wanted to get it to you as I promised next month, because each month I'm releasing new video tutorial which comes up together with this book. The book came out in 2009, so it's been now, I'm recording it's 2021, so it's 12 years. So it took me that long to come up with the video, and I know I've been getting so many requests for the video of the book. So it's better later than never, right? So this is why I am doing these exercises. So the core piano yoga stage 1, these were actually the exercises. For those of you who know my story, I'll put the book to the side. These were the exercises which actually allowed me to stretch my hands so I can play Rachmaninoff Rhapsody on the Theme by Paganini. The beginner's exercises, which you did in the preliminary stage, are the exercises which I added much later because I realized that certain things which were obvious to me were not quite obvious to other people. Core piano yoga exercises is part 1, but it's also a part written for small hands. And the reason I separated it, because this part would suit for people with small hands like mine, up to medium size, but there is also a section for people with large hands. And you may ask me, why would people with large hands even need to do piano yoga? And the answer is very simple, because piano yoga not only stretches your hand, it makes the bottom part of your fingers, proximal phalanx, and I'm sure you know what it is by now, much stronger. So in this series, I will be demonstrating only the exercises from part 1, core piano yoga for small hands. There are 7 exercises in total, and I will introduce one exercise per day, which you can actually build up. And then at the end, what is a desirable result, but only when you can. So we're never forcing ourselves. It's like with a plant. We give the plant water in hopes that it will give us beautiful flowers, but we cannot force the plant to have the flowers. And the same applies to our hands and our body, and therefore our hands. So here, the ultimate would be when you start from exercise 1, because all exercises build exercise 1 going up, exercise 2 going down, etc., and do all 7 exercises as one seamless breath with ease and pause. And your fingers would feel really worked at and stretched and ready to play other pieces. But to get to that stage, I really encourage you to go with small steps, one hand at a time, and that's what I will be offering you in this exercise course. So the couple of things I want you to bear in mind. First of all, the structure, because all the stage 1 is based on the chords which were used already in a preliminary stage, which is a set of 7 seventh chords. And with the way the chord progresses, the distance between certain fingers is increased. So for example, fingers between, it starts on diminished chord on B, B, D, F, A flat. And then the next chord would be B, D, F, A natural. So as you can see here, I am slightly increasing the distance between 3 and 4 by semitone. The next chord is B, D, F sharp, A, and here the distance will be increased between D and F sharp, so fingers 2 and 3. Then I will provide a little release, B, D sharp, F sharp, A. Then I will create another stretch with a major 7, so B, D sharp, F sharp, A sharp. So now again we're gonna increase the distance between fingers 3 and 4. Then the next one would be, I would say, one of the most difficult in that section is major 7th with minor triad, B, D, F sharp, A sharp. So the distance between 2 and 3 is quite intense. And then the last one is augmented, so major 7th with augmented triad. And here we're increasing again the distance between 2 and 3. So the idea is that by going through chord to next chord to next chord, you're really increasing your span on the piano, but doing it very, very gradually. So the difference between preliminary stage, where we just played them straight, is that we break the chord. So instead of playing one note after another, we are jumping through the note. So we're going B, F, and then we go D, A, and then, because I really want them, when we want to lengthen and stretch, is really the distance between 2 and 4, which is the most important. So I want you to repeat it and then finish on 3 and 5. And then I want you to repeat exactly the same pattern again. So I want you to play each pattern twice. And on this note, I urge you, please don't skip. It's very, very important that you don't skip. And if you are short of time, I would rather recommend you to do 1 octave, but do it properly the way I suggest, by repeating each of the chords rather than cutting and doing it without a repeat. The second thing, the slower you go, the better it is. It's an equivalent of working with weights. And so when we work with weights, if you do something really slow, our muscle has time to kind of change. So the same comes with the fingers. If you work, the slower you work, the harder it is. And of course, we must make sure that our wrists are relaxed. This is our priority. The moment you feel tension, any signs of tension, you have to stop. Unhealthy tension in the wrist or forearm, that should feel really comfortable and relaxed. Another thing I wanted to mention, so very important, the way to do it, which I talk quite a lot about it in preliminary stage, but I'll mention this again. The whole idea is based on practicing with straight fingers rather than curled. That's the difference. But what I would suggest you do, if you put your hand in a dark position as you are creating a shadow of the dark on the wall, and then you put it on the keys, then when you play it, try to maintain this position. And as mentioned earlier, you still need to engage your bridge, is very important. You need to engage your senior muscle and hypersenior. As when you play the piano, again, something from the previous stage, but for those who haven't seen it, and it's always good to remind ourselves things. These three areas need to be engaged. It's almost like your house. In your house you have a roof, wall, and another wall. What would happen if the house collapses? If the roof collapses, the house will collapse. If the wall collapses, what would happen? The same. So we still need to make sure that these parts are engaged. So we are not playing like that, because this is quite unhealthy. And therefore it takes time to learn and cultivate that. But please pay attention to this, because again, if you do it with a traditional technique, I would rather you do different things. I think you can do Margarita Long exercises, you can do Donani exercises, some Leschetizky exercises, then do that. And the final thing I want to mention, that this course is scheduled for online use. So you can do it as and when you please. And the way I structured it is almost like for people who you can either watch it once and then do it in your own time, or I know some of the people emailed me and they said, oh, we want to do it, but we feel a little bit demotivated. So this is your opportunity to do the course with me. I will be doing it, commenting, and you can literally do it with me. So you decide how you want to do it. And finally, if you have any questions, please feel free, of course, to get in touch, and I will always leave your comments either underneath the videos, my answers, or I actually post a different YouTube tutorial for that to answer your questions. And on this note, one very popular question, who this stage is useful for? I would say definitely intermediate to advanced players. The beginners, I would say you need to be quite careful, because beginners sometimes have very weak fingers, so it takes time for them to cultivate some kind of strength. So I would encourage them to work on maybe a preliminary stage for quite a while. Age-wise, I would not recommend this for children, because children still have their hands growing, so I don't want to imply any modifications. From the age of 16, it depending on the child, but I would say please consult your piano teacher before you do it if you are a person under the age of 18. With my students, I gave it to 16 years old, my students 16-year-old, with ease. There were a couple of cases when I had some young students, we're talking 13, 14, but then they did it under my supervision, and I really saw how their hand developed, and I did modifications. So I would say maybe just ignore it, giving it to children, unless you are a piano teacher and you can actually assess and you know what you're dealing with, and you feel that you have an expertise to advise your student on that. Just because children, young people, they still have their hands growing, so I would kind of suggest them to grow naturally, And then what piano yoga does, it kind of helps you to enhance your stretch, to go a little bit further. But to find that a little bit further, like we do in yoga, that's a very, very interesting, that is an art between pushing yourself and at the same time don't go beyond what is healthy, what is possible. So I would suggest, again, the grown-ups have much better understanding on it. And again, if something doesn't feel right or you feel any discomfort or tension, you should stop. It's very important. And I've seen cases when one of my students, she unfortunately did it totally incorrectly. She had her wrists were almost like the wood, and she had so much tension, and she practiced it in a completely wrong way. So this is why I'm doing these video exercises, so you can actually really follow what I'm suggesting, do it with me, and maybe even later modify to the way which would be suitable for you. So on this note, let's begin. Let's start exercise number 1.